Justin, I like the fact that you and I are matching guitars, and only because we're not, smoking hot enough to have our own signature guitars like Susi has, which is
Dude, I
cooler.
have a blue one, an Ibanez that's blue like that. I should go get it.
Yeah. Nice. I actually ordered this like September last year, so it was like just before Eddie passed away. I played one. I went and bought an Ibanez, like one of the Lawsuit Les Pauls from a dude. Nice. And he had one of these, and I tried it at his place, and I was like, man, the neck on this feels so good. Yeah, I had to get one.
Jesus.
Yeah, and then I was like up working on. My wife and I built a cottage last year, and I was up working on it when I got news that Eddie died, which was, obviously a huge blow to all of us, because I'm sure all of us were influenced at Eddie at some point, and yeah, I mean,
totally sucked.
So, yeah.
How come all Canadians have cottages and no Americans do?
I don't know, dude, because you all have like Hummers and like 4 vehicles and boats and.
When you're from the United States and you hear the word cottage, you think of like the Smurfs or
I think of a summer home on a lake. Is that what that is?
Yeah. So you guys call it a cabin, or what do you call it?
A summer home.
Okay.
That's where you go. That's where you go when you're in high school. Like like you're dating some girl and her dad's like, "Yo, take the keys to the summer house." That's where weird stuff happens.
I was gonna say I have like there's zero doubt in my mind that no dad ever gave you keys to a summer house with his daughter and said, "Here, Ken."
Are you kidding me? That's how it starts.
Yeah. Nice.
Maybe the mother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta smooth her too.
Nice. Well, hey guys, welcome everybody. So why don't we be super lame and go around and say who we are and what we're doing, because we're talking about NAMM tonight. There's been tons of talk about the fact that the show's been moved and had been canceled during COVID and what's going on. So we, called a couple of our friends to see who wants to chat about this and talk a little bit about how, we feel about the show moving, how we feel about the show in general, because there's a lot of conflicting opinions about it. So why don't we go around the top here? So Justin, you've been on before, but why don't you tell everybody who you are and what you do?
Are you muted?
The audio?
I muted the audio, and I'm like, oh, great. Now I have to talk for the audio.
You could probably just smile for 5 minutes. It's cool.
Yeah. Who's your dentist?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm Justin Bryant. I run the North American side for Two Notes Audio Engineering. Is there more to that I was supposed to know?
Nah, I mean, if that's as boring as you want to be, go ahead. Didn't you play? You played with Lone Star for a bit.
I went on the road with them for a little bit several years ago, and did Canada. Played with some other Nashville people for a while too. But yeah, thanks for bringing up the past.
Yeah, no problem. Are you gonna cry now, or are we okay? We can keep going.
No, I'm in Bon Jovi too, so it's cool.
Exactly. Yeah, you're like, thanks for bringing up that band. The one that I was trying not to talk about.
Oh no, it's like Ken, who hasn't introduced himself. He's like the guy of the band. When you're, in other bands and you're the side guy, you're like the guy that's there one week and the next week it's another guy and nobody ever remembers you. So it's all right. It's all good.
It's a good gig to have. I wish I could do that. I have to show
Where no
up
one
to
knows who you are.
Right, I have to show up to all my crummy gigs. Did you say Bon Jovi or Bong Jovi?
Bong Jovi.
In Colorado, and that's his new
tribute
cover
band playing in Denver. Got it.
I feel like there's 5 of us here. We could start Bong Jovi tonight on the live stream. Who could sing "Living on a Prayer" with a hit in their throat?
Oh, Travis is up.
No,
Travis is the only one I know that can sing.
I can't sing like that.
Yeah. Nice. All right. So Ken, for the people who don't know who you are.
Yeah, I am Ken Susi, lead goon and guitar player of Unearth. And I also am a brand manager / artist relations for Fishman Fluence Pickups and endorser of, unfortunately, Rev Gear.
Yeah.
Just kind of, it's like a snake. It bites you and you get sick, but it's cool. But yeah, no, I've been touring for 21 years officially last month, and I'm still here, and that's it.
Nice. Okay, and we got Hoogie with us.
What's going on? Hoogie. I've never been in a band because I realized there's no money in it. I've always been a tech, 24 years now. I've been with the band Shinedown the last 10 years, on and off. And as well, I have a company called WB Gear. I mainly do artist relations with SIT and Rev amplifications, as well a couple other brands like BTPA and Intune guitar picks.
Nice. Okay, and Trav.
Hey everybody, I'm Travis. What I do now is I am the head of sales and help out with some artist relations with Rev. Prior to that, I was with Sir Guitars for 10 years, and I also did artist relations and managed sales for them. Been a kind of a semi-pro guitar player most of my adult life. Kind of go back and forth of having, some pretty good gigs and then just playing, cover gigs and just whatever I can do to stay active and keep playing. I recently moved my family from Southern California, where I lived when I was working with Sir, and then the beginning days working with Derek and the Rev guys. We just moved the whole family out to Nashville a year ago. So enjoying being here and getting plugged into the scene and meeting some really good people. So that's me.
Awesome. Okay, Kyle's going to kill me if I don't tell everybody to smash that like button or caress that like button or whatever you need to do to
caress it. I like that.
Appease the YouTube and Facebook people to make them hopefully have people pay attention. So,
Ooh.
Yeah. So we're talking about NAMM tonight. Like I said, it's been kind of a hot topic that we're probably a little late to the party on, just because I was traveling the last little bit, and we wanted to get a couple of guys together here who have decent experience with NAMM, and have, a number of shows under their belt to talk about the show, what we kind of feel the show is good or bad for, how, obviously we all know that the show's moved, and, next year is going to be kind of crazy because we lost, we lost doing the show in January, and it's moved to June now, I believe, and it's a bit of a, bit of a mess there for a bit with them. I don't know what it was like for you, Ken, or if you were talking to them, but I mean, they were telling us that it was being moved at first to the beginning of May, and they were like, yeah, May 5 to 7, book your time off. We're going to be in California. And I'm like, okay. And then I was like, well, what happens with Summer NAMM then? Are we going to do back-to-back shows? Because, I can tell you right now, we're not going to do back-to-back shows. So, yeah, and then I actually didn't even find out from our rep that it moved to, June 3rd to 5th. I heard that I heard that from, I think it was just NAMM's announcement email to the general public came into my inbox, and I was like, oh, I'm like, okay, well, those dates work better for me personally anyway, so I didn't really care. But how do you, we'll just kind of go around, or guys jump in wherever you want. How do you guys feel about, number one, the show being moved next year and it not being in January?
Since you called me out on the Fishman side of things, yeah, we got the same word as you via email, and it was kind of crazy. Obviously, the world's been going through a huge pandemic. Before we were alive, I was telling a story how, my band, and through Fishman, we have a lot of contacts in China. We started realizing things were really happening, and my band still persevered and went to Europe after I already knew we were in some danger. I'm convinced that a few guys that from Fishman might have contracted coronavirus at the show, but we're not sure because that was a year before, 6 months before we even knew what it was. So it's good that they moved it. I think we were all relieved at Fishman. I mean, obviously we were sad that it's a great trade show. You get to bro down with all your friends and do all the business stuff. It's always great, but health comes first, and we were bummed, but now it's it's at a better time and a better location, I would say.
Yeah, I was gonna say I kind of second that. Like, it's always kind of a bummer when I have friends from out of town or like from out of the country who would come visit California when I lived there, and it would be January, and it would be gray or kind of overcast, or it'd be rainy. I think it might be kind of cool for people to experience California in June. I mean, it's gonna be hot, but that's gonna be kind of cool. But
yeah,
Hoogie, what about you?
I agree with the whole having to move it or postpone it. But timing wise, I think it's going to be in regards for certain artists. That's the prime time of the year for bands touring overseas, Europe, festivals. So I think you're going to see a lot less bigger names, because hopefully those markets open up. We can get back over there and do shows. So I look at that end of things too. What's going to happen in the touring world.
Hoogie,
that's a good point.
What you're going to be doing, though, is you're going to have all those internet celebrities crashing your booth for endorsement deals and signature products.
I'll be on the road.
Nice.
Ken, you don't sound bitter about that at all.
No,
I
love it. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I'm looking for the next 9-year-old shredder that's like, hi,
yeah,
want a video game with me and play guitar? I love that shit.
Nice. I will say this about Travis's point. I like being from Winnipeg. I hate the fact that it's moved out of the winter. Like, I loved coming to California when it is just deathly cold here. And yeah, I mean, even though it's only, it's like in the 70s in California, then it's still, it's amazing compared to being up here in -40 or -50. I think it will be, like you say, a different experience. I also don't know, how the show is going to change, right? It has to change, obviously. I don't think there's any way they can host it in California without social distancing or some sort of issues. I wonder whether or not, we often talk about the NAMM tourists, right? And what Ken's kind of joking about there a little bit, or talking about, those are the guys that we call the NAMM tourists, that they're guys that, they got a badge through, us giving them one, or, friends and perma customers, we call them, guys who have been supporters from us or of us from the beginning. NAMM generally gives us way too many badges that we would ever need for workers or for artists. So we typically end up, helping guys that, I know when I was young, when I was 18, it was my dream to go to the show, and and it was impossible to get into because it was exclusive, right? Especially, being a kid from Winnipeg, I wasn't getting in. So I kind of always looked at that as if I have the means to be able to make that happen for somebody. I remember the first year I got a badge before I was with Rev, I thought it was the coolest shit on the planet, right? It's just, you get to see some of your favorite artists, you get to see most of the cool new gear that's coming out. It's just, it is guitar player Disneyland as far as I'm concerned. I'm sure, Justin, you can probably talk to this, because you may have done more shows than anyone else here, because you were with Peavy for a little bit before too, right?
Well, yeah, I'll interrupt you. Ken, are you going to stop playing guitar?
I'm not playing.
Oh, who is it?
That was me.
Oh,
It's Derek Van Halen.
Oh, jeez. I was just trying
I'm
to.
sorry.
So actually, Derek, my first NAMM show was 27 years ago. I was four. I was four.
Yeah. I was gonna say.
No, I was 18, and I was a product specialist for Digitech and Washburn. So I got my first kind of experience out there being the guy that had to play the same licks for 8-9 hours a day. When you go, cool, I have 4 licks, and you just keep playing them over and over. It's super, super cool when you're a teenager. It didn't matter if you're a Winnipeg or from Indiana like I am. When you get out to a place like that, it's like everything you hoped it would be.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, NAMM hasn't really changed that much in 27, 28 years, at least since I've been going. They tried it in different cities over the last 20 years. Like they did Indianapolis, which was a huge failure. A lot of that's just nobody wanted to come to Indianapolis, mixed with it's a really hard city to get around. They tried Austin, which is where I live now, and that didn't really work out well. And you know, it was Chicago years ago. Now it's been Nashville and LA since, you know.
Well, you remember the year they did New York? Remember they did it at Javits Center?
Oh yeah, yeah. They tried to do these things. Yeah, how did that go? Because it seems like they try these experiments and they don't quite work. And going back to what Derek said, it's like literally they haven't changed that much over decades. So, and the world's changed, right? But the show hasn't.
Oh yeah.
To me, changed much.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, obviously, you know, there was that, like, I don't remember how many years it was, but when I first started going to NAMM shows, you know, 15 years ago or so, and working them, I remember I went to the Indianapolis show. I went to they think they did in Austin at least twice.
Mm-hmm.
And then they did New York. I never went to a Chicago one, but, and then obviously once they landed in Nashville, like that seemed to make a lot of sense, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, Derek, you've been in more contact, like Derek referenced earlier, like talking to a rep, and we have a NAMM rep who, you know, is our contact, who's the one who books us, you know, at the show and works out all the payment and all that kind of stuff. Have you guys been talking about, is there going to be any difference in policy when it comes to like the amount of passes that we get, or have we even gotten that far yet?
Man, I haven't gotten that far yet, but I would highly doubt it because we did Summer NAMM this year, right? And the pass count that we had for Summer NAMM was 80 passes. Like 80. Like we had a
Crazy.
10 by 20 booth, or 10 by 20. I'm like, how the heck, like you can't fit 80 people into the space that we have for the show. So how is it possible to fill this? So yeah, and I mean, I think that NAMM is kind of constantly behind, and Justin referenced something that's so important, and that is that even pre-COVID, and you know, Ken talked a little bit about this too, that I think that it all ties together. The way that people buy gear or find out about gear nowadays, or yeah, just the stuff that people are into, like it's completely different than what it was back in the 80s and 90s. And the show was still following the same trajectory that it was in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, right? So there's not much has changed, except in my opinion, the vast majority of either influencers or, you know, mediums that we would have used to promote our product, those have changed drastically and are no longer anywhere near as influential as they used to be. And, you know, you talk about like the 9-year-old YouTube sensation, like there's a good chance that he's going to be more influential or she's going to be more influential in getting people to notice your product than putting an ad in one of the major guitar publications where, you know, man, back in the 90s, you know, I absolutely had subscriptions to, you know, Guitar Magazine and Guitar World. And yeah. Like I would go through that every month.
Derek, you have to go back to what NAMM stands for and what NAMM was for and what it represented for years. Most people don't know that NAMM is even the National Association of Music Merchants, and they go, "What does that mean?" Well, this is for the people at home. It's for retailers to go see new products that are coming out, to stock their retail stores, so they know what products to buy. And it was typically the January show was always the big load-in show where the new products would be introduced, the artists would be there to represent the companies, the manufacturers would have big parties to entice the dealers. You know, the dealers get all excited about the new gear and they buy. You know, it wasn't atypical even for my time at PV for some dealers to do $100,000 plus orders or bigger. So that was really the time when industry people and retailers got the inside scoop way before the public did. And that's what's different too, is now the second NAMM's open, it's like it's on YouTube and you know what everybody is. So the whole audience has completely changed. So it didn't mean to interrupt. That's
you know, going back to my time when I was working with Sur guitars, you know, that fact, it really impacted our strategy, you know, because like, for example, with a guitar company, you might have a limited run or some sort of a limited model that you're planning to come out with maybe midway through the year or towards the end of the year. Well, now you can't under normal circumstances under the old paradigm, you would go out and you'd show that model to your dealers, you'd take pre-orders, and then you would wait and release it. And now everything's going live as soon as you. I mean, if you're going to put something out on the floor at NAMM, the world's going to know about it.
Yeah. Ken, do you find, I mean, I don't know if this gives away too much information or not, but like, does Fishman still do a significant amount of B2B business at NAMM? For those of you that are watching that don't know what B2B is, that's business to business. So like for Rev, I'll just be transparent, like the best PO we've ever gotten on a show floor was for 6 amps. That's the best we've ever done. We typically spend, I don't know, somewhere between all in with with getting people to NAMM and the booth and everything, I'd say we spend anywhere between $40,000 and $70,000 to do the show. And if we write $10,000 for the orders at the show, or maybe $15,000 through all 4 days, we consider that a pretty good win as far as orders go. Almost all the business for us comes probably anywhere between like 2 weeks and 2 months downline from now.
Yeah, I'll say, well, first of all, let me kind of just state this. I've been a musician for a very long time, and I didn't get with Fishman to do small business per se, right? Like, right. And I'm not knocking anybody that has a booth downstairs or anything like that, but when I found the Fishman Fluence technology, I was like, it was a part of the Fishman channel, and I was saying to myself, like, that's like immediately, if you're in a band, it's the same thing as being signed to Capitol Records right out of your basement, right? So with Fishman, they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars just on the booth alone. They write huge POs in those backdoor meeting rooms, and they kill it. And I mean, throughout the year, I mean, there's, I'm in close quarters with the OEM salesman Rob Ketch. He's an all-star, man. He does big business, him and Larry, and the NAMM show is a very lucrative time for us, definitely, because people, you got some of the new product that's floating around the booth, but then you get that, the stuff that no one's supposed to see that we kind of pull out for OEMs and stuff like that. And so that's, I mean, I got with Fishman because they could do that kind of thing, and I knew that like Fluence would excel, being there versus like with some other company, because they're, Fishman does big business for sure.
Yeah. Hoogie, how do you find it? Like, you've been with SIT every year that I've been. Do you find that they...
Well, they do a lot of like international business. That's usually where Tim takes care of, all those meetings under one weekend. That's where it's hurting them is outside of North America.
Right.
Being able to shake those hands, right? That weekend where everybody comes around and you have those dealer meetings with other countries.
Yeah, I mean, I remember talking with a buddy of mine who was working at Boutique Amps just right after the show last year. We went for dinner, and he was telling me that like they had just hosted their like in-house YouTuber event right before NAMM, I think, or I think it was right before, or right after NAMM. They had a bunch of YouTubers come in. That was when they were releasing the Synergy Vibe module. And they were, I mean, I know they were really contemplating not going back to the show before COVID even happened, because to them, I think they found that like the amount that the show costs versus what the show itself brings in, I mean, I don't want to speak for them because I just know what I was being told, but for them, they kind of found that the show was almost not worth it because they could achieve that same level of business without spending $250,000 on the show, right?
Yeah, use that $250,000 somewhere else.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Hoogie. I mean, like, a big benefit for us is that international business. I mean, we don't see our distributors from Europe or the dealers from Europe or, anyone from Asian markets or Australia. I mean, there's no other time that we see them. And I'm sure, I mean, I kind of stole this line from Travis early on when Travis started working for us, and that is that there's no substitute for FaceTime. Like there's nothing better than actually being in person, talking to somebody. So you can be on Zoom and you can try to close deals and you can do stuff, but there is nothing better than actually being able to talk with a person, show them the product where they can touch it, they can actually listen to it properly. All the technology that we have that we're using today is awesome, especially because this is all we have for today, right? Like we don't have another option for everyone in the world to get together easily, but there's no substitute for that. I remember you telling me that, Travis, when we were still at Tricom and you were out on the East Coast and you had just flown back, and I was like, "Oh, how is that?" And you're like, "There's nothing like real FaceTime."
Yeah.
So
I know how to make SIT increase their profit margin. I just want to throw this out there. Have you guys ever had like a business meeting where you're like, we're gonna put Wayne from Hatebreed at the booth all day so people can look into his dreamy eyes? I could get lost in his eyes for hours. I'm just gonna say that's right
now. Now we have Frank too, so we can have both of them.
He's not as handsome. He's well versed in like he's the guy I want to party with and listen to Kiss. But Wayne, I want to marry that guy.
Crazy Wayne.
Everybody gets something out of the NAMM show.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, how many of you guys were at Summer NAMM?
I was.
I've never done a Summer NAMM.
Neither have I.
Oh.
I've been to every Winter NAMM except for one since 2006, and the only reason why I missed the one was because I was with Lamb of God, and we were in South Africa doing a show. Yeah.
I should be totally transparent here too. You guys have all these great stories about NAMM. I didn't know NAMM existed until I was already in a band that was like successful. I had no idea it even existed. And like in like my band blew up in like 2000 and then into 2003 and we got bigger. But then like in 2006 or 7, someone's like, "Hey, you ever go to NAMM?" I'm like, "I have no idea what that is." And I went. Like a company paid for me to go there, and I just drank my face off, and it was amazing. And then like I missed my flight, and I had to live in LA for like 2 weeks because I couldn't get a flight home. It was amazing. I was like, I gotta come back to this every year. I literally woke up in a bush one year. It was amazing.
I probably was in the bush next to you at one point.
Yeah, but I never knew it existed, and the first time I went, it was like sensory overload. I was like, "The hell is this place?"
Yeah, I remember going, it would have been like probably 2010 when I first went. And yeah, it was, yeah, that's exactly right. It was sensory overload. Like especially being from Winnipeg, like, I'd never seen a Bogner ramp in my life. You know what I mean? Like I'd seen them on the internet and in magazines, but like you wouldn't get cool boutique stuff here. You'd never see anything from Sir or Friedman or any company like that, right? So wandering around the show and just seeing all of the different guitar brands that you never get a chance to see. And I remember like I was and still am a massive Alter Bridge and Tremonti fan. And I remember like Mark walked right past me while I was at the show and I was like, where the hell am I that like one of the guys that I've looked up to as a player my whole life just walk past me like it's nothing. And that kind of shit happens all the time, right? And when it's your first time going, especially I wasn't that young at the time. I can tell you how old I was, but, old enough that I shouldn't have been starstruck by anybody. But yeah, you get that way, right? Like, 'cause especially being from, Winnipeg's not exactly a small town, but it's pretty secluded compared to being almost anywhere in America.
You guys have the Jets, and that's about it.
Yeah, correct.
But dude, I brought one of my ex-girlfriends to NAMM one year, and she's like staring at the TV. There was like a TV somewhere in like the main area, and she's just like, "Wow, that's really cool. Sting's playing somewhere at NAMM right now." And I'm like, "Turn around, idiot!" And like she literally looked over the balcony, and Sting, she could hear it and she could see it. She just thought there was like speakers pumping it in, but Sting was like literally right behind her. I was like, playing. I was like, "This is insane." Yeah.
Yeah.
So where else are you going to see fake Bono?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
how many years in a row is fake Bono?
How many years do you see fake Bono?
Yeah. The only reason why I go to NAMM is to go check out those Coffin Girl cases. Those chicks that sell coffin. It's amazing.
Or Dean Guitars.
The Dean Guitars party.
Oh,
yes.
dude. Yeah. I remember when we first signed up for NAMM. In 2014, we signed up to come to 2015's show, and all of a sudden you start getting emails from all the vendors that want to help you design your booth and everything. And man, I don't know how many emails I got to hire models to be at our booth. And I was like, there's no way we are doing this. And I'm like, who would do this? And then I showed up and saw like Dean Guitars, and I was like, oh, this is who does this. Like, yeah, I got it.
In their defense, there was a lot more cocaine in the early like thousands at that show than there is now. So they might have not have gotten the memo.
I mean, my favorite thing is like all of the like Rat cover band, Motley Crue cover band, Poison cover band,
Yeah.
dudes that wander around that like
The Van
like
Halen
the
cover
LA
band that plays the lobby every Saturday night.
yeah. The like the NAMM rock stars, like the guys who come to me. Like I remember the first show we were at. This one dude sits down and is playing our amp, and my brother Scotty was helping him. My brother Scotty's pretty introverted, and Scotty's helping this guy, and he comes over and gets me. He's like, I think you need to talk to this guy. Like, I don't know what to say to him. And I walk over, and the guy's like, all right. He's like, let me tell you how this works. He's like, you give me this amp, I put it in my studio, use it on records, you make money. And I was like, all right.
Did you sign him?
No.
Give them two.
Yeah.
Where do I sign?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
it's
you
on-
know the
now
Dude,
it's
I'm
on-
sorry. I'm sorry that was how we met.
dude. I was gonna say Ken, you know the one artist from Boston that's not you that we signed at that first show that we were at.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
Sorry.
You guys. Oh, go ahead.
what's that?
I was just going to say that you guys were talking about the people that hang out at the Hilton, the Hard Rock Hilton, the hotel by the NAMM show, for people that may not know. But it's just saying those people have been coming up to the show since the 80s. I mean, you know, and the other thing is the people that come up to you and ask for free stuff, the people that are dressed up and want attention, those are usually not the legit people, usually. The people that are legit are much more unassuming, sometimes introverted. You know, they don't come up and ask for things. They're you know,
They're across
Usually
the street at the
respectful.
Marriott.
Marriott's more like over
Yeah.
55, over 50. Yo,
Yeah.
so like if you see me at NAMM at the Hilton, which I'm always at there, I'm like a seagull looking for free drinks, just like perching on the bar, waiting for someone to be like, "Oh, I got the PRS card," you know. I'm like, sick.
Nice.
Let's do it.
Dude, I'm not a big partier, so like Hoogie stayed with us one year, and the Rev crew is probably the most boring crew at NAMM because we rent a house, all of us stay in that house, and we literally sit in the house every night and drink beer. Although I am kicking myself that I didn't find you the year that you ended up at that barbecue that Dave Grohl was barbecuing for everybody.
That was last NAMM
Ken.
and the one before it, right?
I know.
Dime Bash. Those are
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
Was that you? That was Ken that was there?
I was there, but Hoogie was there,
Getting
right?
served a plate of ribs by.
I've been definitely to a
Grohl.
dime bash in the past.
I went, but I had to I know Rita real well, but I couldn't get I don't know, she didn't call me back. So I got in through the Bad Wolves dudes, and then I was like, I brought a porn guy because I was just friends with this dude, Alex Legend. So we rolled in, it was sick. I just bragged about him the whole night. I'm like, I'm with this porn guy.
It was funny. You talk
Does he act or produce?
He acts. He acts.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
funny because you talked about bringing your lady to a NAMM, and I brought mine once.
Yeah, that's
And
it.
every time we turned
You
around,
learned that lesson real quick.
every time actually, me and Willie Adler brought our ladies with us for the weekend. And every time we turned around, Ron Jeremy was sitting in the room somewhere in the corner. Everywhere we went.
That's how it is, though.
We ended up going to see the Steel Panthers on the Monday after. Ron Jeremy sitting on stage eating chicken wing on the drum riser. Like, just everywhere you went.
Dude, Ron Jeremy's been
He's
following
everywhere,
Willie
dude.
He's been following
Well-
Willie Adler for years.
There's a pretty high chance you'll never see Ron Jeremy at another NAMM show. So
He's just waiting
Yeah.
for Willie to slip up.
He's just, yeah. Get on that chicken wing.
One of my favorite celebrity moments of NAMM was Buzz and I were back in a back room somewhere, and there was I don't know, just like little offices, makeshift offices, and I was standing there just like an idiot having a conversation with a few people, and a door flies open, literally like full steam, hits me in the back of the head. I almost fall forward, and it's Yngwie Malmsteen, like barely fitting into his outfit. He looks at me and he goes, "Oh," and then he keeps walking, and Buzz is like, "Dude, Yngwie Malmsteen just hit you with a door," and we were both high-fiving. It was so sick. He didn't even say, "I'm
awesome.
sorry." That was the best part.
Yeah.
Why
That's
would
so
he?
good.
He
Yeah.
doesn't have to. Fuck that.
Yeah.
He's
He probably was thinking, "You're welcome."
yeah. He's
exactly.
right. And you know what? He's totally right.
I know. You know, it's funny. Like Ingve, like not to go off too deep in a rabbit trail here, but you know, Ingve gets made fun of a lot. You know, by people. He's kind of become like a kind of a meme of himself. But that dude is so. I mean, obviously, you know. But I just went back and listened to like some old Alcatraz and some of the early stuff. Like that dude is a bad mamma jamma, and
He's sick.
and
Look,
he like not even with that much gain. Like it's crazy.
he doesn't need it. He's so
He
sick.
doesn't. His
Yeah.
technique is insane.
Yep. And like him and Ron Jeremy are equally as talented, but in different ways.
In different ways. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just trying to circle
But
it back up.
it all comes down to technique, Ken.
Yeah, it does. It really does. In both cases. But yeah, Ingve's sick.
I had one year I was working the NAMM show and we had a Doug Aldrich doing an appearance, and my favorite was it was like one of those years it was raining and stuff, and like Doug could not figure out how to get to where he needed to be, and he was like driving around, and I had, you know, it's one of those things where you're outside having to like talk. I could see him driving, like just getting turned around and fix. So I had to like tell him like turn left here, okay, turn right, like literally get him into the parking lot, go grab him, and he's like 15 minutes late for his signing, and we have to like run through NAMM.
Dude,
It's just it's every year it's always like that.
Dude,
you know?
Tosin
There's always one.
Abasi's my guy for that. Like he and I we do
I don't
clinics
know.
all the time, and
They're like, I don't know you're like, how do you function in life? Like,
well, like Tosin's more so like he rolls in. He is a punctual guy, but you know, oh, I got stuck in traffic. Oh, I got to park my Lamborghini. You know, like all that shit.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
cool. And I'm helping him carry and like pedal boards and scrambling last minute. But Tosin's the best, man. He's the best sport. But yeah, he's my guy for that.
But same with Doug. I love Doug so much, but it was just there's always some every year there's always one guy who like just, you know, there's always one that can't figure it out, can't figure out where to go.
I'll tell you who the best guy is Russ Parrish from Steel Panther, Satchel. He rolls in without his costume. No one knows who he is at all.
Yeah.
And then he like literally like Superman's his situation. Chicks are like all trying to like stick their tongues in his face, and he plays guitar, and then he goes in the back, and then he's like switches into like pedestrian
Clark Kent?
clothes. Yeah, and then he's like, he walks right out the front door. No one knows. It's stupid.
That's amazing.
I took a couple lessons with Russ in the early 90s in LA, and I'm only interrupting to say that guy is unbelievably good. And he always
tasty
has
lit guy. Yeah.
always been.
I met him when Steel Panther was playing in Winnipeg, and my printing company did a bunch of merch for them, and I was giving him a G2 or G3 pedal or something, because he had given me a pussy melter pedal, and when I showed up at the venue, again, like he's not in any of his makeup, he's not dolled up or anything, and he comes up and he's like, "Hey man, how's it going?" I'm like, good. And he's like, "Derek, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "I'm Russ." I'm like, "Oh shit." I'm like, "Yeah, okay." Like, and he's like, "Yeah." He's like, yeah.
I get that a lot.
Yeah.
Dude, he and I became friends in like kind of the reverse way. Like Steel Panther was big on the West Coast, but no one knew who they were in Massachusetts, and they played this like really small place. And like literally, there's this place. There's a huge club called Karma, and there's this like a smaller place called Bill's Bar, and they're connected. So the backstage was the big club because they played the small room. And like, who's back there? Like the dudes from Extreme, like dudes from Aerosmith, like all these weird celebs were back there, and I'm back there just chilling, and I'm having a drink at the bar, and Russ walks next to me, and I'm like, I looked at him, and I'm like, dude, like, how do I know you? And then he's just like, you know. He just kind of shrugged his shoulders, like, yeah, I'm everywhere, you know, just made a joke. And I'm like, are you the dude from Fight? And then he's like, he started laughing immediately. He's like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, you're fucking sick at guitar. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing here? And he's like, oh, I'm in Steel Panther. I'm like, oh, cool. And we just exchanged numbers. We became friends over the years. He's just a really nice guy.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we were talking about like the fact that the show has changed a lot, and that like in this last year, because it didn't happen, and because, you know, Summer NAMM, there was a bunch of like socially distanced stuff. There wasn't a lot of brands at it, so like they didn't even put carpet down in the aisles. Like it was pretty messed, right? Were you guys seeing any other changes kind of happening in the show? I mean, we talked a little bit about like, you know, like I said that I was talking with the guys at Boutique, and some of those guys were, you know, thinking about not exhibiting. Like, was it Fender and like Gibson ditched 1 year? Fender was talking about not coming. I heard PRS was talking about not coming.
Gibson,
you know what I mean?
Fender always shows up because they make like a bajillion dollars selling those custom guitars upstairs.
Right.
So they're always in. But you're right, Gibson didn't go for a while.
Dude, I heard Fender had bailed on January, and I had noticed somebody. Sorry, guys, we will answer some of your questions and comments as we go here. I'll try to be a little bit better about it. Somebody said that they heard that the show moved because of like COVID-related delays with like shipping shortages and people not having product ready. I think that's part of it. I think there's just also a big thing where, yeah, lots of people just can't, they just can't justify the cost, and they found other ways to try to reach their audience. So what do they need NAMM for? And that's what I'd kind of heard about Fender, like Fender and PRS, because PRS's backlog, Travis, what were we hearing? Like almost 2 years from dealers?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Is the lead time right now in orders, and Fender was like 18 months. So, I mean, if you've got your production booked for 18 months, you could skip the show and it won't hurt one bit. So,
I see Sticks and Stones comment there. I heard it was moved because product shortages and shipments from Asia. That's the official line I've heard too, which is that a lot of companies came back and were saying, well, look, I'm not going to have anything new. We're not going to have anything to show at the show because of chip shortages and material shortages. We're just not going to be ready to show anything by January. And I think they had enough people say that they eventually were, not to say that there could also be some other, backroom conversations happening there, but that was the official
I think it's a
word.
combination of both, right? Like, I think that, again, like, if you've got enough orders, why spend the money? A little bit of that. I think it's hilarious. My brother Scotty just said the lack of delicious sandwiches this past year. That's true. My brother normally comes and we call him our NAMM mom, and he makes us lunch every day, and he wasn't here.
He
this
would
last
randomly
year.
stop by SIT and be like, "You want a sandwich?"
Yeah. I think we can all blame Scotty for the fact that COVID happened because he didn't come to NAMM and then the world went to shit. So I'm pretty sure it's my brother's fault.
Yeah.
So,
my band's been saying because I got engaged, God is trying to strike the world down. So not too far off. But what kind of sandwiches are we talking here? I might need one from Scotty.
Oh yeah, ham and
Does he
cheese.
Can he make a
ham and
meatball?
cheese?
Can he make a meatball or what? I'm Italian here.
We can tell him to.
Yeah, I need a meatball sandwich. That's what I need.
Give me all your sandwiches and I ain't paying.
I'm gonna go eat it right in front of the coffin girls, the coffin cases chicks. They'll be into me someday.
Once they see you manhandle that sandwich.
Oh, I'll just tear off my shirt and rip a meatball sandwich. Be sick.
Did you see the way he handled that meatball?
Man, he knows his way around a meatball.
Set of balls.
That guy barely chews.
Did he put that whole ball in his mouth?
Yo, speaking of, this is a sad story, but I was eating a slice. I was eating a slice of pizza at last NAMM, and a dude died in front of me. It's crazy.
That's
Did you
right.
remember that?
Yeah, that guy had a heart attack, right?
Because they rushed him out where the Rev booth was.
Yeah, he went right past our booth on a stretcher, and I was like, "Ugh, that's not good."
They were paddling him. It was scary, man. That was nuts.
And Ken, in true Ken fashion, comes up to me right afterwards. He's like, "Dude, did you see that guy die who went right past your booth?" I was like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
That wasn't the Sandscan guy though, right? Did he die like a day later? I remember that. Was it like a guy from a dealer or vendor or what was he?
I don't know. All I could see is like they were rushing him out of there and they were zapping him as they were going. It sucked.
At the coffin cases booth.
Yeah, he caught something. He's probably the first COVID dude.
I was gonna say he was the first Rona at NAMM.
Patient zero.
Yeah, he got original SARS from Toronto,
Namthrax.
and he brought it to NAMM.
Yeah, the worst case of Namthrax ever.
Yeah, it was invented in Canada. You guys suck.
That's true. Sorry.
I'm down here spreading it right
Sorry.
now.
Yeah.
Sorry,
guys.
Yeah.
Made you sick? Sorry.
So, did you guys see kind of any changes happening that you noticed?
I mean, the show
Like
ended,
already before?
Yeah.
I mean, other than the online effort after NAMM, the original NAMM happened, that was about it. Like, there's nothing. NAMM was NAMM. It's always NAMM, right? You go there, it's always the same thing. I think it's going to be even weirder when we all get back and do it.
Yeah, I think so too. I think everybody's going to kind of wonder, like, how do we do this now?
Yep.
Right? Like, because everything's been so different for so long.
Well,
I saw that. Go ahead, Justin.
No, somebody mentioned something that could be very real though, as far as supply chain and just shipping next year. I mean, when do people start shipping their booth stuff? 6 months in advance, 8 months in advance? I mean, it's all TBD right now, So it'll be interesting to see how it's going to go just with logistics, because those shows are massive with stuff.
Justin, you get in a truck in Winnipeg and you drive that shit down there like a man. That's what you do.
Yeah,
that's how it works.
Unfortunately, Fishman can't do that. But yeah, that's
Fishman
bad news.
moves in a 3-story house.
Yeah, we'll probably pull the Seymour Duncan and just pull some weird trailer with gear in it.
Yeah,
like a house trailer.
Yeah, Ken Susi's mobile home.
just
like the trailer park with Ken.
All you see is
bus.
You hear my arm. You see my arm out the window with Dio Sabbath blaring, just fucking beelining it for California.
Just think how fast
Shitter's full.
Yeah,
that would be the world's fastest setup in teardown. You just drive in, put your canopy out, put a couple
lawn chairs.
Yeah, and then you're done. Get in and drive
Get
away.
those coffin girls.
Oh yeah.
They're like,
hire the coffin girls to stand beside the trailer park.
I usually pick them up.
You can't grill in here.
I usually pick up those girls on at the truck stops along the way.
The lot lizards.
Hey, you guys know where I can empty my gray water?
I noticed that Scott had asked a question before there. Scott Gaylor, who had said whether or not we think the show is still needed and whether you can make a legit ROI. That is an awesome question. I'm going to let literally everyone else answer that before I say anything about it.
What's an ROI? I'm just kidding.
Return on investment.
No, I'm just kidding. But no,
Ken is the brains behind Fishman's finance division in business.
Yeah, what's this ROI talk?
It's bullshit. Just talk to me about cash, bitches.
Yeah. Let's talk about money instead of this ROI.
Is that like an IOU?
Yeah. Nice. Sorry, I had to take the joke while I was there.
Yeah. So, Ken, why don't you tell me what you think about that first? Actually, then
I'm gonna say that online, like if you could use social media to elect a president in the United States or whatever it is, or like push an agenda, you can make sales here. I'm saying NAMM is great for the artist relations thing and the dealers to kind of brown nose and rub elbows and stuff. But to be honest with you, dealers are following the trends online anyway. Most dealers are now e-commerce as well as a storefront, but they the successful ones are becoming more e-commerce based. So all I could say is that you don't need NAMM. You just need a product that's making And we're back.
Oh.
Whoa!
Now
that
I'm
happened for
on
everybody.
top.
And then now everything's shuffled.
That pesky ROI got us again?
Yeah, exactly.
My, how the tables have turned. Look who's on top now, bitches.
I've always been
shut it down.
Yeah, I've always been a power bottom, so I'm comfortable down there.
I knew you were going there. I could see it. I could see it bubbling up.
Sometimes you get hit it over out of the park, but
yeah.
Going back to the ROI, most I was just saying that e-commerce dealers are now kind of like mom and pop shops are e-commerce. As long as your products are buzzing online, I think you have no problem with making sales. I think those POs are being written at NAMM based off of what you do in prep to NAMM for online support, online stuff and hype.
I agree. I mean, I think, it's hard to make the case for me that NAMM is really worth it, worth the investment and worth the expense, because, when going back to my days at SIR, we didn't do NAMM for a number of years, that we had the benefit of being kind of an hour away from Anaheim. So we would bust people out and do the Fender thing where we do, the private party for all the dealers, have them pick out, fancy tops or nice guitars, yada, yada, yada. When we started to really get involved with NAMM was when we were trying to increase the electronic side of the business and not so much the guitars. Because with guitars, Sir has just always been so successful and it's such a backlog that NAMM was an unnecessary expense. You didn't need it, So it just depends on, I think, where you are as a company. If you're new to the industry and you don't already know a lot of folks in the industry and have a lot of connections with retailers, especially retailers that are international, as we were talking about earlier, Derek, like one of the great things about NAMM is we get to see all the business partners that we don't get to see on a regular basis, especially the international ones. And if you're new to the industry or you have a new company, that's invaluable. Being able to be in one place and meet all those people and make all those connections. But once you're established and there is some demand for your product and you've kind of got you're kind of moving under the power of your own steam, so to speak. It is hard to justify, and it's also really hard to quantify what the value of the show itself is to you. That's a tricky one.
Justin, what do you think?
Well, Travis has touched on a lot of good things, and how do you quantify our ROI? And the answer is can't exactly. What is it? What good comes from it? It's kind of been touched. I think a lot of people don't understand how international distributing works. Obviously meeting with distributors from all over the globe is a big deal. Meeting with your larger retailers, meeting with people that don't know your company. The thing that we do is, our booth is always silent. So it's great for trying to educate people that go, what's your stuff do? It's also bad because a lot of people can't show off, so they don't come buy it, But as far as ROI, that is the hardest one, because I'll revert back to my early years. The winter show, that you could expect to write POs of X hundreds of thousands, and you could quantify your ROI right there. That the summer show would be smaller, but it would be kind of your second push for the year. Now it's let me go back. Things started becoming weird when some of the bigger companies didn't come to the show for a couple of years, like Yamaha, and they could get away with it, but there's a stigma about NAMM. If you don't show up, then your company must be going out of business. So sometimes a lot of people just show up because you have to be there.
Because it's expected.
Expectation.
Yeah.
Hoogie, what are your thoughts, man?
I mean, in regards to the sale end of things, I really never had to deal with that stuff. For me, it was all artist relations. So
you had to have heard SIT either be happy about it or bitch about it.
Well, they've always said it was a necessity for the return, the investment for basically overseas, all of those dealers from out of the U.S. and North America for that matter. It was always something they had to do basically to go see those people. Those people would come by, place those big orders for the year, and that's when all of that business would get done. So yeah, it's hurting them in that way. So hopefully we can get back to some shows so they can do that. But now, are these businesses even going to still come, given the fact that we're in the middle of the pandemic? Or, are these people going to come from overseas? Are they going to wait? Let's see how this one goes, and I'll come to the next one.
Well, that's a good point, Derek. I know you're going to be the last one to go here, but that's a really good point too, Hoogie. Is that a lot of businesses, due to shortages, but also due to like the weird COVID bump that a lot of us saw, where it was like all of a sudden now we're doing more business than we ever have done, and there's like this weird pent up demand. Like, are enough my question is, are there going to be enough companies that are looking at this going, well, shoot, man, my order book is full through 2023. We've got more demand than we have capacity to satisfy. Why am I going to spend the money to go to a show? Like, we're good. We don't need the show because we already have all of these orders on the books. I'm curious if that's part of the whole reason why they did push the show out.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it, and I guess I look at it a couple of ways. I typically don't qualify, or I should say quantify ROI the way that most other people do. You guys have kind of all touched on a little bit more of, what actually happens, which is how I quantify whether or not the show's worth it. To me, it's all about brand building. It's all about brand recognition and continuing to build brand equity. I never really looked at the show for us as a B2B show because we weren't getting B2B business for a long time. Like it took, I remember when the first show I went to, one of my good friends that I used to play a ton of shows with, he was in another band. He's, I think he's the general manager at Temple Audio Boards that does like pedal boards out of Canada here. And I remember sitting with them and they said like, the only advice we can give you is like, you should know now that it's going to be 3 to 5 years before any dealers pay attention to you. And you got to keep coming to the show. Otherwise, they won't think you're legit. Like, Justin, you touched on that with Yamaha. And people, not that anybody thought Yamaha wasn't legit, but like if you stop going to the show, it kind of makes it seem like, ooh, are they in trouble or what's going on? So I always looked at the show very differently. I always looked at it, Scott asked, is it more about content for future Instagram/Facebook marketing? No, I don't think that that's what it's about. We often have lofty dreams that we bring somebody that's going to do photography and videography at the show and get us all this great content. And guess what happens? None of it gets released because we just get busy with whatever the new thing is that we're producing, and we're worried about that content that we're creating in-house. And all the NAMM stuff, if you don't release it within the first few days of NAMM, it's, the only thing it's good for is Throwback Thursday. And, or once the next show rolls around that you can be like, hey, remember last year? And then you can use that content. So I really don't think it does that much. But what you do get out of it is, creating that like awareness and hype and whatever around your product. And that's what I think there's a ton of value in that. And as far as the show goes, where I do think a lot of the people that are pulling out of the show, where I think they're making a mistake, because I'll be the first to say, I think not going to the show is a mistake. I think as soon as you do that, I think that right now at least, you create a vacuum when you don't go, and another competitor of yours comes in and starts to fill that vacuum, or several competitors come in and it opens up the ability for somebody else to grab that attention. I mean, honestly, I think the fact that Mesa Boogie has never attended one of the NAMM shows that Rev was at was a massive advantage for Rev, because guys that would have spent their time at the Mesa booth checking things out came by our booth. Like, that absolutely happened. And I think that's one of the dangers of you not going to the show. The other thing, I think that if you're looking for the show just to get you dealer sales and stuff like that, you are, in my opinion, missing the point. And I do think that that's a problem with how NAMM markets the show, because NAMM still markets the show as a show where, come out and write orders, right? And the big companies do that. It's the small companies that don't, that have to kind of get creative about, what purpose they have at the show. But I think as far as, future ROI, I think this kind of ties in a little bit to what Anthony Best said, and that was, who's got a phone that had a duck noise that just went off? Anybody else hear that? Susi.
It's
Nice. Thanks, Ken. Anyway, I was just saying that, like, the fact of the matter is there's 120,000 people that attend that show, right? And honestly, how many of those are dealers and buyers? 20,000?
Yeah.
Like
Maybe
30,000
less.
maybe?
Yeah.
Less, 10,000? It's 100,000 tourists.
Yeah.
And right now, I think as long as those 100,000 tourists are coming, that show is 100% worth doing. As long as you have those people that you get a chance to be able to present whatever your best is that you've got to show, if you get a chance to show them during that time, they are coming to that wanting and expecting to see something great. That's what they want. They want that experience to be amazing. They want to find that new piece of gear that they can't live without. And I think that that's what I think that's where a huge part of the value of the show lies, and where companies who are pulling out already, based off the fact that their order book is full for 18 months or 2 years or whatever, I think they miss out on the fact that those 100,000 people, they're going somewhere else.
Yeah.
And they're going to go find, they're going to go find Fishman pickups instead of another pickup company that they were originally going to see an artist at, right? They're going to go find Two Notes instead of UA. They're going to go find Rev instead of Mesa or whoever who's not there, right?
And it doesn't mean that people are going to go, stumble upon the Rev booth and then never play or buy a Mesa Boogie product again.
No,
but they're going to now be aware that Rev exists, or that pick your brand, and that is going to that could lead to many different outcomes. They could become Rev players in addition to, or that could replace their Boogie, whatever it is. But the point is that may or may not have happened. That probably wouldn't have happened if that brand was there.
Shit, if it wasn't
because they would have just gone.
Show, wasn't for the NAMM show, Ken and I wouldn't know each other, for one. No. And if it wasn't, none of us would know each other if it wasn't for the NAMM show, to be honest.
I know Hoogie.
And Hoogie, you and I met before the NAMM show when you were teching for Tea Party. So
that one show.
Yeah, one show, which you were like, why is this guy here? Like, he should piss off. But Ken, we would know each other. And even to that point, I didn't even try the Fluence stuff until you came by at the Dallas show. Go to a smaller show, and you were like, you need to try this stuff. And I was like, I don't like active pickups. And you're like, stop being a dick. And then you had Falbo fix that telly at our booth. And I heard you plug it in. And I was like, I'm coming right to your booth, and I want to hear all your pickups. And I was like, shit, I'm an idiot. And I ordered 7 pickup sets from you at that show because I was like, these are amazing. But if it wasn't for the show, I mean, I would have just been like, just get me another, Duncan Invader, Duncan Distortion, or whatever I had been used to for the previous 10 years. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
actually, going back to the original thing though about the Facebook and all that stuff. Sorry to interrupt, but Fishman actually spent a lot of money in 2 or 3 years before the last NAMM on Facebook, Instagram live streaming from the floor of the NAMM show, and it was met with great success. We actually we had a lot of traction on a lot of the videos in the performances we had. So just to throw that in there. But I agree on all the points that you guys have been making.
Ken, I have a question for you about Fishman. I mean, forever Fishman was known as the acoustic guitar pickup company, kind of like the market leader. What did you guys do with trade shows and things around that to remarket the company in a whole different direction? I mean, the NAMM show had to be an influencer of that to some extent, right? Or is it more artist driven, or is it just different pieces?
I mean, to be honest with you, I just used the approach that I used with Derek. I just walked up to people and told them to stop being a dick and try our pickups, and it seemed to work. No. To be totally honest with you, Fishman is known. It's like the world class acoustic pickup, acoustic amplification. A lot of people don't know this, but we've sold more just as many loud boxes as any other major amp out there. I'm not saying we're bigger than Marshall, but we're right up there in sales. But yeah, we're known as that acoustic company. It took a guy like me who, there was a great product there already with Larry Fishman and the team that was already established. But I actually didn't want to be an artist relations guy. I didn't want to work for a company. I literally met Larry, and I was saying to myself, I will work for you for free because I believe in this so much. And to be honest with you, I was leaving EMG at the time, and I wanted to protect my investment because I thought the Fluence pickups were so friggin' good that I was scared that I was going to get an endorsement of Fishman and wasn't going to work out because it didn't catch on. So I actually was fighting to ensure the success of that brand. But the crazy part is that now we have this whole new wave of guitar players and stuff finding Fluence to where we're now having to go back into our acoustic pile of players and stuff, and just kind of re-educate them on how good our acoustic stuff is, because there's so much hype around Fluence right now. But literally it was a strategic effort by me to infiltrate artists and get the right artists, and then encourage OEMs to start putting them into the guitars. And it was a team effort. It started with me. I handed off to Rob Ketch, who's the VP of sales, and it was just a tag team effort. And it happened, like Derek said, 3 to 5 years. I think I started in 2014. I think Fluence really took off in 2017, maybe ish. So it took a few years. But
Yeah,
I
we
did
would've
lose
met-
I lost 3 years of my life, like losing sleep over trying to do Larry right. Like I would tell Larry, like, I'm trying my hardest. Just give me more time. Give me more time. Because I didn't want him or the company to give up on Fluence because it wasn't like jumping up, off the charts right away.
Yeah, it's hard enough for companies to become relevant. How do they stay relevant? And just the fact that EMG for guitar active pickups, they kind of own that market forever, and you guys have found a way to kind of take it. I'm not trying to get away from the NAMM topic, but it's how you market it, right?
Well, to be honest with you, the technology is far superior than everything that's in your guitar. I don't want to give you guys I don't want to give you the pitch on this thing, right? But let me just say this, like, honestly, genuinely take me out of the artist relations role. I was just an artist that showed up to try a bunch of stuff, and every single wire wound pickup that I put up against the Fluence the Fluence was smashing it. And like, I was bringing out guitars that were $5,000, like Ibanez Custom Series and Telecasters, $4,000 guitars up against like an ESP LTD with Fluence in it. And my guitars were getting smashed. And the sophistication, I don't know, like, I could go on and on about this, but what I will say is that, like, my personal impression is that there's a lot of products out there that like promise excellent results, but they fall short. Like Evertune, I love them, I endorse them, but you have to take out a ton of wood in the guitar. So that's like, yeah, your guitar's in tune, but you're taking a bit of wood out of the guitar, right? And it doesn't sound as girthy as it could. But like, and you got like Axe Effects and all these other companies, like, they're all great companies, but like they promise to sound as good as an amp. But when you plug into a Rev or a Marshall or a Peavey or whatever, you're like, oh my God, this is like the real thing. So there's a lot of promises out there right now, and without the delivery. And what I will say is that the Floyd Rose blew my mind in the 80s or 70s or whenever it was invented, like whenever I found a Floyd Rose. But Fluence was the first product that actually made like the existing technology better. So I had to jump on it because it was a once in a lifetime opportunity for me.
Yeah, man. Like, that's similar to my story of starting with Rev, right? Like, I met Dan because I owned a screen printing company, and he wanted somebody to screen print faceplates on amps. And I tried the amp, and I immediately was like, where did you build this and how did you build it?
Yeah.
And like, I told him he could build me one, and like from that night on, I was asking him right away, like, how are you marketing this? Like, you've done something that I've, at least being in Winnipeg, like, I'd never heard anything like it. You know what I mean? Like, I'd never heard anything as tight, but it still had great cleans. And yeah, so it's, I mean, it goes to show you what can happen when you get guys that are passionate about gear or passionate about their equipment and they latch onto the right thing. Do you know what I mean? Because,
well,
I mean, yeah.
Well, I was just going to say, like, for instance, using Satchel as an example, like every single guy that I've given Fluence to, I give them one set. I don't give them 5. I give them 1. Yeah. And I say, play it live. Watch what happens. And the first thing they do is they play it. They play their normal guitar. They switch to a Fluence. And the next thing you know, they're like, they switch back and they're like, what happened to my amp? Why is this, why does it sound so good? It took Russ Parrish 8 months to try a set of Fluence. It almost, like, I literally had to call him like once every month or so to be like, dude, did you try it yet? I sent a friggin' guy to his house to install the pickups, which he was definitely annoyed with. But he called me back 10 minutes. He called me 10 minutes back, like after he tried it. He called me 10 minutes after he tried it and literally gave me a 20-minute apology and how I'm so sorry. How many of these can you send me? Like, that's what it takes to be, you got to find the guys that become, the mouthpieces.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. As a company, you can only speak so loud and so arrogantly for yourself because that only goes so far. You need to have the people that have that influence, and they have to be everywhere. It can't be one artist in one genre, No. That's something I think a lot of brands get typecast to when people come to NAMM shows. They'll associate a certain company with a style of music, which may not always be true. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's not. And it's like, how do you cater to different audiences,
Well, good point. But good point. And you guys talk about Greg Koch and how great his pickups are, right? Telecaster stuff that you guys like. So
I don't
let
have
me
a
just
Telecaster here. That's not true. I have a shit knockoff Telecaster. I don't have a normal Telecaster here that doesn't have Fluence in it.
I'm going to back up that point though. So I'm not going to name names of companies, but I think you guys may know who I'm talking about. They make a great pickup that requires a battery, but everything else is just a throwaway. And I wanted to make sure that with the Fluence line, every single pickup was the golden pickup. So you might be like Ken Susi, who loves the modern pickups, or Will Adler, who originally loved the modern pickups, but like he wanted a signature and we tailored it to his sound. But like as much as there's people out there that are passionate about that, you had to make sure that like the guys that like Telecasters and Strat were also blown away, because you don't want to be typecasted as that company that like, oh, they only make active pickups. Where Fishman's actually making people question like, wait a second, this isn't active per se, it's powered, and it's powering two technologies.
That's 100%. I mean, that was my thing when you asked me about trying Fluence at first. I was like, man, I don't like active pickups. And you're like, these aren't the same. And I'm like, yeah, I'm good.
Right.
And it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't until Fabo fixed that telly at our booth in Dallas in 2016 that I was like, holy shit, these sound amazing. And then I tried, you guys had that Strat and the Les Paul that you had the classics and the Strat set in it, and I ordered sets for all of them because like for my Strats and my my Telecasters and Les Pauls, or actually I think PRS is what I ended up putting them in, but yeah, like I did that right away because I was like, yep, I have not played any passive pickups that sound like this, and those are the first active pickups that I felt didn't feel stiff, because I'm not a metal player. Like I'm more of a blues based player. Still mostly hard rock and high gain stuff, but I don't want it super tight, right? Like I'm not doing a lot of chugs, so it doesn't make sense. And and I mean I could play a telly for hard rock shit with no problem with Fluence. Like it's got I always call it the awesome button. I don't actually know what the hell it's called, and I don't really care because I just call it the awesome button. But just so people know that are watching, like what Derek's referring to is that we have a thinly sliced precision coil that has it's 48 layers, so it acts like a copper wound pickup, but you can rewind it with like a push pull. It's like literally like a guitar tech, putting in a whole new set of pickups when you when you use a push pull. And it has this button, the awesome button.
Yep.
That's it.
Well, there's something we all share is that we're all tech companies. We all have a lot of research and development and a lot of complex tech. The idea is that you make it not complicated. This kind of goes back to spinning it back into the show. Guitar players largely haven't really changed that much in the last 40 years. And yes, there's been changes and things, but you go back to it, the roots of it are still pretty similar. And what I'm inferring is you have some of these companies that come out to the NAMM show that are maybe decades beyond what anybody can really grasp a hold of, or they just never take off, but they could be the coolest things out there. The general audience needs something they can latch onto. So like Ken, your pickups are really sophisticated, or Derek's amps are really complicated, or our embedded tech is very sophisticated. People don't care about that, right? They just care that it sounds good and it's easy to use more often than not, right? Yeah. But it's familiar. It's got to have some familiarity to it.
Well, even though you're saying like things are sophisticated or not or whatever, I mean, Hoogie and I will probably say the same thing. In our world, we just want to make sure something turns on and it sounds sick. We don't really care.
Say, does it solve a problem, right? Yeah. Like for me, the Greg Koch set solves the problem of I still want a telly to have that telly twang, but I don't want it to feel thin and sound thin. It doesn't. It's got way more bottom end in it. It feels and sounds so full. And yeah, you're 100% right. Like throwing it to Hoogie there, right? Like it's got to solve a problem for you. Like Hoogie, you tech. Like if something isn't improving something for you or making your life easier, what's the point?
Why change it, right? Consistency is what you want night after night, especially when you're out there, 20 plus shows, But it's definitely got to solve a problem, and definitely.
Well, that's what's great about and why we partnered up with Two Notes. I saw, I don't remember who it was, but somebody just commented about the fact that Two Notes and Rev working together. I mean, we saw.
Dude, this amp right here.
Yeah.
100p.
We saw that people we're constantly having an issue that a lot of guys don't know how to mic cabinets. A lot of guys don't have the ability to mic a cabinet where they are. And a lot of guys on the road, like, still would have rather used tube amps because they do, you know, no offense to all the digital companies, but I think they do feel better, right? They respond better even with a load box and with cabinet simulation than the XFX, the Kemper, the Helix, whatever you're using. And when I first met Two Notes, I met them because I was looking for a solution for the NAMM floor, bringing it all back to NAMM, because we needed some way that we could get underneath the 85 decibel limit that we're supposed to be, at max on the show. And I'm like, we bring the soundproof rooms for those of you guys who have been able to come to the NAMM show. We bring soundproof rooms because we knew there was no way anyone would be able to tell what our product was like without having that. And there's always a lineup to get into it. And I was like, shit, like we are, like, throwing back to Anthony asking about how we feel about tourists. I mean, my favorite part of NAMM is all the NAMM tourists. I think there's nothing better than being able to see your actual market and the people who, not the dealers who are going to buy your product, the end user who's going to actually buy your product. There's nothing better than being able to see what their reaction is to your product when they get a chance to try it. If you see that makes their face light up, or you see that they're hyped up about something and it solves a problem for them, I mean, you have a product that is worth pushing out to the market at that point. After that, it's just a matter of trying to find the right way to be able to get people to know about it, and convincing dealers that it's worth it for them to stock it on their shelves. And I met Two Notes because Ken, actually, we met through Fluff, I think, probably brought you over to see us. And like Ryan,
I definitely had Two Notes stuff before, but Ryan is we met. I think we met around that time though.
Yeah. So I was like, Ryan told me about the Torpedo Live and the Torpedo Studio, and I was like, well, shit, we should try these, and then we could have some amps outside of our booth that would work. And actually, we were talking about this before we went live. That first NAMM show, Ken had, we hadn't done any of our own virtual cabinets yet, and Ken had a static IR that was the best sounding IR I had heard. In our first NAMM show with the Two Note stuff, it was all, it's the Ken Susi Mesa Recto Cab 412 with a 57 and a 421 on it. Is the IR that he sent me that we were using, and it was killer to have. Yeah. And from then on, I developed my relationship with Guillaume at Two Notes. He ended up, Fluff stepped down as AR. Guillaume ended up asking me to take over because Fluff had recommended me. And then eventually I ended up working with Two Notes for a few years, and that's when I learned about the Torpedo embedded product. And that's where, I was like, well, shit, that's awesome. That's, yeah. And once we got word that we could use it, that was pretty much it. And shortly after that, Rev got busy enough that I was like, I gotta go. And then came along Justin.
Yeah, I was just about to comment. Torpedo changed the Two Notes Torpedo stuff changed my life. I mean, the Cab X, I believe our Cab M, and the Live and the Studio, they're all Captor X are great. But the fact that I have it in my Rev, the Generator 100P, is just so sick because you plug right in the back of it. For years, even before I had this amp, I mean, I would go on stage. We all know, you go in this recording studio, people build gobos, they set up mics perfectly. When you're live, you're setting a mic up in front of a cab in a huge room or a theater or some shit, and it sounds terrible. The Two Notes allowed me to strike every fucking microphone from the stage, which was amazing, and actually play an amp loud. And then just, I could even chuck my amp or unplug it or do whatever I wanted to. And it doesn't matter because I'd still be going out through the front house. And I knew that. And for years I used Kemper, and I was sacrificing because, I wanted to get something out to the front house right, but it suffered on stage. The Two Notes changed my life. And once I realized I could make my own IRs of what I had in my studio, it changed everything for me. And that's literally all I use now. It doesn't matter. Whatever my live rig is, it has the Two Notes in it, and it goes right to the front house.
Yeah, I won't make this a pit, but the same thing that Derek using the technology in his amps. Several artists have come on this year from Phil X with doing the Bon Jovi stuff to even Alanis Morissette, people doing stadium tours. Everybody started with mics, and then like the Captor X or the Live is kind of like a backup, or trying to run them in parallel. One is a failover, and then literally within about 10 minutes, the front of house guys are like, pull the mics off. We don't stop messing with all this stuff. It just was it was just easier. Consistent, right?
Yeah, I think I got Judas Priest is using the Cab M right now. Andy Sneap. I got him hooked up on it too. Yeah, people love it.
Well, that's good to know. Thanks for telling me.
You're welcome. Artist relations right here.
Well, thank you for telling me.
Yeah, so... Okay, so I mean, all of this ties back that, like, essentially all of the stuff that's happening here, if it wasn't for the NAMM show, like I mean, never mind that Rev probably wouldn't really be around, but legitimately, there would be no Mark III series with Torpedo Embeddeds or D20 and G20 if it hadn't been for NAMM and for me meeting Guillaume to get Torpedo Lives to use at NAMM. That started all of that. So it kind of all like pulls back to what the value the NAMM show has, which for me, it's built our company. Like, that's really what it's done. It's built the vast majority of relationships that we have with everybody as far as artists go or in the industry goes. That's always a springboard for me. So question for everybody else here. So now that they've announced that the show's moving to June, have you guys got plans to attend?
If my work makes me go, I'll go. If not, I'm trying to. If COVID doesn't chill out for a minute, I'm probably not going to be there. It seems like a lot of people are getting sick, even being vaccinated. So it's time to. Hopefully, we have it all solved by that time. But if we don't, I might not be there.
Okay. I like to be optimistic and think it's going to go and it's going to be amazing because it hasn't happened in a couple of years. But man, I cautiously optimistic is the best word or phrase I'll have for it.
Hoogie, I mean, it's fallen right in the middle of the height of touring season for you. So
the height of touring season, it all depends on, my employer and what we're doing at that time. If I can be there, obviously, I'd love to be there. It's weird not, as much as we all complain about doing it, it's weird not doing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'd be nice to.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
It would be nice to see these familiar faces in person.
For sure.
Hell yeah.
Travis, you have no choice. Travis is
like, I was gonna say,
well, it's like that Tom Segura bit about taking taking the girl on a date and like what your vehicle says and show up in a white van or full size van. Well, you're going.
Your boss is on the air. Make sure to say yes.
Yeah. Want to go out? Yeah, too bad you're going. No. I'm excited. I think it's gonna be cool. I think we went to Summer NAMM when a lot of people didn't go, and I think by and large, especially given the lower expenses for us to do that show, because not only is our footprint smaller, but Sean Tubbs and I already live in town, so it wasn't like we had to fly us out or anything like that. But I think it was very worthwhile doing. I mean, it was one of those things where there were like no other amp companies there, so everybody that did go filtered through our booth. We had like one of the most happening booths at the whole show, probably maybe the most happening booth, and it was because there was nobody else there, and so there was no other competitors, so people's attention got focused on us. And I think it's probably going to be similar, I think, at Winter NAMM. I think there's going to be a lot of companies that don't go, and I think it's going to work to our favor, if all goes the way, we're kind of planning for it. But yes, I'll be there.
My prediction is going to be the future NAMM is everyone's going to have, those bubbles that you climb in?
Yeah.
They're like lawn toys. It's like a hamster. Everyone just rolls, bumps into each other. That's what NAMM's going to be like, 2022.
Yeah, perfect.
Can't have the coffin girls
say,
wall, though.
Yeah.
I will.
I will say that one of the things that I noticed about Summer NAMM is one of the things I think that the people who are the vendors that are considering not going because, you know, their book is full for the next year, 2 years, like I get that. But I will say this, there are a lot of dealers that went to Summer NAMM. We had more requests for meetings at Summer NAMM than we have had at any other NAMM show. And by a significant amount ahead of time, like to the point where I was like telling Travis, I was like, man, I said I wasn't coming because it's kind of a pain in the ass for me to come from Canada down there. I'm like, but I'm kind of regretting not coming because you know, I've never had it where I had 6 dealers email me in one day asking me for a meeting at any show. Never mind at Summer NAMM. And I think one of the things that people are underestimating is that because there is shortages on gear, there are a lot of dealers going just to see what can I get that can fill the shelves, because I got to be able to sell something this next year. And I don't have, you know, I'm not getting that PRS order that, you know, that I placed a year ago. I'm not getting it for another year. So, and most of those guitars are gone. So I got to fill the shelves with something to keep going. So what am I getting?
That's a huge point that, you know, I can't tell you how many dealers I've had, either new dealers approach us or existing dealers, you know, asking me like, Travis, do you work with any other brands? Like what else can I get? Like I don't have enough guitars on the wall to like fill all my hooks, and I'm you know, I'm not going to make any money if I don't turn stuff. What do you have? You know, what can I get? What can I get?
Come to my house. I have 100 guitars. You can sell them all. I need them out of here.
We'll do a Ken Susi reverb store.
Oh, please
You'll sell them all. You'll sell them all, and you'll be like the rest of us. You'll hit Dallas, and you'll be like, "Look at this sweet Japanese Strat that I got for like $500." And you leave with like 3 guitars.
Should I get up and show you that exact guitar?
I know it. I was there when you were like, "Man, there's a sick Japanese Strat for like $400. I'm going to get it."
Plays like an Ibanez. It's awesome. It's my dream.
Yeah.
Well, you know, you guys touched on something that's massive right now, and it's all about supply demand. And I hate to use the term the Amazon world, but people want what they want this minute. They don't want to wait for anything, and we've programmed society to be like that. So if I wanted an amp and I wanted a Mesa Boogie and they can't get me an amp, then I'll go to Rev, which I may not have thought about Rev before, or maybe Rev has an amp and nobody else does, then it's an easy decision. Right now it seems to be driven by who has stuff. And going back to the earlier conversation, I don't know that a year from now, it won't still be exactly like that or even worse. So
yeah, I think you're right. And we see that borne out in our dealer networks. You know, the folks who stock up and who have inventory and don't let themselves be run out of inventory are the ones that sell the big numbers. And the people who are constantly running out and calling us going, "Oh, how fast can I get another one of these?" And are just trying to carry the bare minimum, that's usually the folks that have a harder time turning inventory. It's the secret. It's one of the secrets of the success of companies like Sweetwater. They just have massive warehouses, and they're not afraid to order 100 of something or 1,000 of something.
Yeah, I don't want to let the cat out of the bag too much, but I'll say that Fishman has made financial decisions in order to not have to rely on any type of vendor or you know, overseas vendor to supply us with product. We've made like some steps to like, hey, we're self-sufficient. If we in a pinch, we can make X product now because, you know, we expanded the business more. So
well, and that's one of the things that I think has been really fortunate for us, and I feel fortunate in the position I'm in at Rev, because the way that Derek does things is very much, you know, he's not afraid to go and buy a bunch of parts and inventory and put it into the warehouse, because he knows, and he's looking out in the future and knows, man, if we don't get this stuff secured now, down the road, we could be really hurting, you know.
If we don't get,
and you know, it's a testament to the fact that the company is run well enough, and the cash flow is, you know, is to a point where we can afford to do stuff like that, you know. So
Derek's like, if we don't get these coffin cases here.
I know. I'm thinking about it right now. I'm like, man, I never thought there was so much money in coffin cases.
How much to rent the model?
Yeah. Apparently, there's just boatloads of money.
If we don't book these male models now,
Yep.
Exactly.
Oh, that's what the Rev booth should look like. It should look like Chippendales next year.
It's just us. It's just
You
us
coming?
two that show up, Travis. Me
I was
and
gonna
you
say,
and our beards.
Susie will be there in a banana hammock for all of us.
Oh, you kidding me?
Ken's in the middle.
I already have a leather
Ken's in the
Speedo.
middle, me and Hoogie on either side of him, all with our
Yeah.
the two bears.
Yeah.
Dude, you oil me up. Forget about it.
Yes, dude.
It would be a showstopper.
Yes. Hey, that's the thing. Get your body shaved by Ken Susi at the Rev booth this year.
Oh, kidding me? That plus a kissing booth. I'm in.
Kyle.
See,
awesome.
Kyle's saying, "What's up, Kyle?"
Kyle knows.
Kyle wants his body shaved. I'll do some BH work for extra cash too. I got that. I know one of these guys on the panel knows some about that manscaping tool.
Can you do some designs or?
Should I go? Hey, should I go get it and show you?
I want to see blood though. I just want to see
Do some
blood.
free-
Has that become a Rev communal manscaping tool?
Not
Yeah,
yet. It
I
will.
let Derek.
Like,
I let Derek use it when he's in town.
yeah,
I'm
I can
sorry,
leave
I had-
mine at home now.
You can't tell me anything before a live stream. I'm sorry.
It's true.
Bruno.
Seriously, if you guys getting off topic, have you guys read the reviews on those? They're hilarious.
Oh no, I haven't.
On the
Oh, they're
Manscaped?
hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
I was laughing, Travis, just because I bought one of those Manscaped things, right?
Yeah.
And one of my employees at the printing company opened it up and saw the box because it got delivered to the shop. And they're like, oh, there's something here for you. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that'll be an awkward conversation tomorrow.
Oh, Bruno. Do you want melon toy?
Yeah.
Oh, it's like my dog just
Bruno,
showed
your
up. I
dog?
gotta-
Oh,
yeah, I gotta give him he has a special toy in the studio. Hold on a sec.
nice. Kyle's losing his mind wherever he is right now, but the fact that Susie has a dog and he can't see it. He's like, where's Ken's dog?
I'm envious of Ken's lighting.
Yeah, you kidding me? This is a real studio.
Yeah.
It's got the in-ears.
Dude, I try. I'm 40 plus years old. I gotta look good online. That's all I have left.
You're engaged. You don't got to worry about it anymore, right?
I still do. I still gotta make my fiance jealous a little bit, or she doesn't. If I treat her too well, she won't stay with me. You know.
Oh, God.
Gotta throw him a couple curveballs.
Yeah, keep things interesting.
Yeah.
Keep
be
her on her
like,
toes.
yeah, your best friend, huh? She's looking at me weird tonight, huh? You know. You gotta say.
Kind of like it's weird undressing me with her eyes.
You got a whole side business in like the YouTube channel of like dating relationship tips.
Yeah, I wanted to do like I just renovated my house, and I thought it'd be great to go on the local community whatever TV channel and do a home goods show called Cock Talk, but spell it cocking, like Cock Talk with Ken Susi.
Your own fans
Stop.
only.
Yeah.
Like
be
just local public access television.
Yeah, my name's Ken Susi, and this is Cock Talk. Today I'm gonna show you how to hide Blue Board.
I just registered that domain. How much do you want to buy it for?
I got 10 riding on it. Whatever.
Today we're working on the deck.
Yeah.
right. Oh man, these are the good times. Don't forget it.
Oh yeah. This is what we miss actually having in person at the show. That just does
man,
not.
yeah.
It's so difficult to get everybody's schedules to coordinate to do anything because I think every company. I mean, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but every company is also busier than they've ever been. Like, thankfully for everybody who's watching, there's lots of you guys that have supported us and bought something from us over the last year or two that, it's helped us grow exponentially and it's been awesome and thank you guys for that. Anybody else have any other thoughts on NAMM that we haven't really touched on or anything?
think we encapsulated everything.
Yeah, I think we explained the whole show and what's good and bad.
I mean, we really the whole how that will move forward in the whole artists signing and stuff like that. The events is the day of me standing next to Ken at the booth to take a photo. Is that over?
Yep.
Or is Ken going to be behind the plexiglass?
I'm going to be the guy when you're taking a picture with somebody else, just being like in the background.
Yeah.
Everybody
has to be staggered 6 feet away with ridiculously massive cameras and lenses in order to capture everybody.
It'll be interesting to see how that unfolds. A big part of my thing was going to NAMM and doing these signings with 10 different artists, and 150 people would show up for it. Right. Cram into a 10 by 10 area.
We call that a COVID petri dish now.
Yeah.
but no,
the primordial soup.
Yeah, you and I have to do it the old school way, though. Like, during this pandemic, we got to go to shows now, which totally sucks. You have to watch other people's bands when you work all day, like with another band. It's crappy.
Anthony asks, can NAMM be done entirely remotely? No,
they tried last year.
Yeah. I mean, and I have to say, I was more impressed with how the Believe in Music thing, like the app worked and how that was. I was more impressed than what I thought it was going to be. I'd say the first 2 days of it, we had lots of inquiries from dealers. There was lots of decent communication and stuff, but after that, it was just kind of useless. I'd say it was good for getting everybody died off. Yeah, it was good for getting everybody focused to talk about the fact that we were missing, like that we weren't all at the show together, and to talk about what was new and what was going on. But everything else about it just fell completely flat, I thought. It's the same with, no offense to them, but like there's no substitute for the real Gear Fest for Sweetwater. I thought that the online Gear Fest, like they did the best that they could, and it's great that they could offer up, deals and like some kind of special promotions and stuff like that through it. But I mean, it's nothing like being in Fort Wayne, and you know what I mean?
It's no different than seeing a band live versus, seeing them on TV. It's the exact same thing. Yeah, it's two-dimensional. It's not three-dimensional that way.
It's funny, like not all art forms are that way either. Like, certain thing, like when you're seeing a band, I mean, it's like you want to be pummeled by the sound of it. But like if you're going to see like a comedian or something, I guess that's a little different, Yeah. I was thinking about that the other day. Hey, Derek, what beer are you drinking?
Oh, I was drinking a
Radler.
A Radler because I drink Radlers because I'm not a real man. So I'm a fake man.
I think
I'm the only one that was drinking any beer. Ken doesn't drink beer much anymore.
I was gonna say I'm what you call.
What are you drinking?
Me? I was drinking water because I have what we call a drinking problem. So when I'm home, I don't drink because I'm not responsible enough.
We need to vet our guests better for gear and beer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, if it's just the people in the company that are drinking.
We should do a gear and vodka.
Yeah, gear and water.
Yeah, gear and vodka.
Now I have Sleeman Honey Brown Lager. Yeah.
Don't you know?
Oh, don't you know? It's not so bad,
That's a good one, eh?
Did you run out of Molson?
Yeah. Yes. And Labatt's. What else you got there, Mr. American?
What is?
You kidding me? Thriller Light.
I miss my Keiths, actually. I could go for a nice cold Alexander Keiths right now.
Yeah.
Dude, Miller Lite through a beer bong is nothing better. With the
hint of PVC.
Yeah, I was gonna say, let's talk about you driving that trailer to NAMM again. Living in the trailer park.
Once you hear Dio Sabbath in the distance, it's me, fucking all the way to California, baby. The only reason why I reference Dio Sabbath is because once you turn 40, you get a license to listen to Dio Sabbath, not just Ozzy Sabbath. They give you the record in the mail in America. They're like, hey, you're over 40. You'll like this.
That's before you get your AARP card.
Yeah, and the sad thing is once you're 40, your brain's like, oh yeah, Dio Sabbath is way sicker than anything else. It's crazy. It's so weird how that happens.
All right. Anybody else have any other questions for us while we ramble on about dumb shit. Because if you don't, I think we're gonna call it pretty soon. Because because it's 10 o'clock for Ken probably.
I'm about to turn into a pumpkin. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely
Bus
past
calls
your
at 9
bedtime.
a.m.
Yeah. Dude, listen, I'd still power party. I'll listen. I'll party at my house until like at least midnight.
Yeah, I was gonna say at least I'm until at least quarter after 11. Like,
I'll tell you. Yeah, I'll tell you what I tell bands when I'm like an artist relations guy, where I'm like, listen, I'm gonna stay for the first couple songs, and I'm probably gonna leave. But
Yeah.
if you guys have some epic bullshit happening after the show that's gonna last till 4 a.m., count me in. I'll stay. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
If
I
it's
don't
like,
want to listen.
if it's
You're
11
like, I don't want to
o'clock,
listen to your band, but
yeah, I know you're
but
good.
I'll hang with
You're-
you after you.
Yeah, I know you're good. You already sold out the House of Blues. I don't give a shit. The deal
What
is,
What time are you over? I'll show up the last song.
Exactly. No, like even if it's my fiance and we're in bed and it's like midnight and I'm about to go to sleep, if she rips out a bottle of Jack Daniels and says we're going for it, I'll go for it. I don't give a shit. Just tell me when. Give me the tap.
Nice.
Look, you know what I'm talking about. You've seen enough bands to know that if they already know they're good, they don't need me there. They don't need you there.
Yeah.
And trust me, dudes are like taking showers after the show and just wait a sec. We're gonna load the
Yeah,
trailer.
it's never a sec. I'm that guy. See you in 45 minutes to an hour.
No. Animals as leaders. Actually, like one time I was with Tosin and I was just like, hanging out at the Palladium and I said, it was with him, Wes Houch, and all those dudes. And I said, listen, I'm going to go if nothing's happening after the show. And they're like, no, we're going to get weird after the show. And I'm like, all right, 4 a.m. I'm still at the Palladium getting weird with those dudes. It was awesome. Ubered home. That's what you got to do. You got to call your shots.
Must have been a roadie Friday.
Yeah. Well, it was a Wednesday, I think, but still, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Fishman would understand if I.
I'm 99% sure no one was getting weird at that show. Ken had a bottle of Jack Daniels and was pretending that Tosin and everyone said they were going to get weird after the show.
Yeah.
And
Come on, guys!
was
Said
being-
we're getting weird.
I was trying to get backstage outside the bus by myself.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually think I took a dump through their A-frame because there was no toilets outside on that trailer.
Nice.
I mean,
Awesome. Okay, so Nicholas asked, what has been the best platform to promote your brands? YouTube. Oh, thanks. You love watching stuff by Glenn. Glenn's a great friend of ours, and so is Henning.
Glenn's how we connected.
Yeah.
Instagram.
Instagram's your big one, Ken?
I just feel like everyone's just like into that 60 seconds of like quick, like, ooh, I want that. It's like a shot of adrenaline. And if people care, they'll go to YouTube and like watch it like a full video.
Yeah.
Yeah. Justin,
Grindr.
how about you? What would
What?
you say is your guys' main platform?
Man, you know,
LinkedIn.
we're
LinkedIn.
oh, that's not me. That's not me. That's old. There's another person that does that. I have no words now. You know, I think YouTube. I've put a lot of effort this year in building out the American artists, and having those people speak for us, having them do social pushes. But we're trying to redo all the marketing. So it's a good question. There's a lot of things we've learned to do, and I think just sending emails out every week isn't the answer. So engagement. I think it's all about getting people engaged and building a tribe, and it's still a work in progress and process. So, you know, building that community. I think what we all have to do, right?
Yeah, oh, for sure. Hoogie, you're big Instagram, right?
Instagram's, yeah, where most of the followers are and whatnot.
I don't think
I'm
we're
not.
friends on Instagram.
Dude,
No,
Hoogie
but you
sent
did
me a
repost
message.
my thing.
What's your handle?
Hoogie on the road.
Let me just make
Hoogie,
sure.
Hoogie legitimately sent me a message not long ago being like, hey,
Dude,
you
just
don't-
followed you.
He's like, you don't
Sorry.
follow me on Instagram. And I was like, oh, you don't know me. Like, my wife was like, do you ever see my posts on Instagram? I'm like, no, I don't ever go on Instagram, ever. And Travis will be like, hey, I sent you a message. I'm like, where? I don't see any messages. You didn't text me. Send me a Facebook message. He's like, Instagram. I'm like, Oh yeah, I guess I have to do that now because everybody does that.
I'll know.
And,
I'll
like,
know when you log in because like every like month I'll get like replies to
messages?
like 6 videos.
Look at this guy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Everyone, get up on this profile right now. Look at this man. He's beautiful.
So I mean, if Sammy were here, Sammy had the night off because we had the rest of you, and he wanted to paint his house tonight, so that's why he's not here. And
A regular night painter, huh?
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm sure Sam would say for us it's Instagram, and YouTube would be the other one. I'm still, stuck in like 6 years ago, and I still think Facebook is great, but mostly because we have lots of community, and I talk to lots of dudes on Messenger there. So when I'm on it, I'm not on anywhere near as much as I used to, because apparently the bigger your company gets, the less time you have for social media. Who'd have thought? So
You need to prioritize your time better.
I know, I absolutely do.
Carve out that social media time, man. You need
I
it.
know, exactly. I mean, yeah. That's why we
So that
hired
means-
somebody to help with it.
That means Derek doesn't go to the toilet ever.
Ever.
No, it means that I get like 600 messages when I do go to the toilet, and like I'm like,
Space
oh
diaper.
shit, what am I gonna do here?
Rev space diapers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, I would say those are. Oh, thoughts on TikTok, dude? You were asking the wrong guy. I just told you I'm not even good at Instagram. How the hell
I don't even know
I
how to
figure out
use TikTok. I'm so confused when I go on a TikTok.
Travis, all you got to do is, wear that banana hammock you got and bounce around, and that's all you got
one
to
of
do
these?
for TikTok, I think. That's it.
Get a dance together.
Don't we got to do it at the same time though, like the three of us?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Do the-
interesting how things like
Come on.
He just
What
breaks out the
platform-
Macarena.
Yeah, Hoogie, I think you're doing the Macarena, man.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I can't do TikTok.
This
I
live
can't- I
stream
mean,
is off the rails officially. Hoogie and I are doing
Yeah.
TikTok dances.
Ken's in the
Oh,
middle with
and-
the banana hammock.
and Travis's wife is on saying yes to the banana hammock. Well, we know Travis is gonna have a good
Oh
night tonight.
no!
So
Sorry guys, gotta
Yeah.
go.
yeah,
It
now-
pants down and it's the banana hammock.
Only
Yeah.
fans.
Wait, you guys are wearing
OnlyFans.
you guys are wearing pants? This is crazy. I didn't get the memo.
yeah,
No, I've been in my hotel room.
That's what I'm saying. You're in your
Pantless all
fudgies for sure. Yeah.
yeah. Your fudgies.
How are
That's
those
awesome.
small towels at the hotel? The thin, small towels.
the
I know-
scratchy ones?
I know what you're doing. Sucks.
Nice.
I'm actually in my
Oh.
house where I can actually sit on the toilet and go to the bathroom.
Actually,
Kyle says he started an Rev OnlyFans for us 3 years ago.
Nice.
this hotel.
There's a lot
is pretty
of,
amazing.
I like how I just called my shot. Hoogie's going to get a hot towel for sure, or a shitty bar of soap.
No, this is pretty. Lemon
skin
scented.
drying.
Look at this was on the counter,
Oh, nice, dude.
and it's the big bag too.
Yo,
Dang.
I would stick that whole thing up my butt if I was there.
Well, never use the shampoo or conditioner, right?
No,
You know the big secret in that?
no, dude, just doing weird stuff to it.
Well, you
Oh, really?
pop into it and you close it up and put it back.
Listen, I stay at Marriott's. Those things are like locked on. I don't know where you're staying.
Those things are definitely full.
Hoogie's like,
Yeah,
I've been
you don't-
filling those
they
up
don't-
on the
they
road
don't-
for like 20 years.
Listen,
Dude,
when I
I'm
get
That's why
into
my
right now.
skin. That's why my skin glows when I travel.
listen, I'm just gonna say this one time.
The sticker.
When I get it-
the sticker peels off easy. You put the sticker right back on.
Listen, I'm not scared. When I get into a hotel, I like to explore every inch with my body. So
What does that
whatever,
even mean?
whatever somebody did to that hotel room, I'm going in double. But one thing I will say is we toured with Poison the Well a while ago, and we went out with oh god, I think it was Walls of Jericho or Disembodied, or I can't remember what was the band, but there was a candy dish at the hotel. Like you pop the top open, there was candies in there, and we're all like hanging out, and like someone's like, "Hey, pass me a candy," and the dude had his whole unit, everything's just stuffed into the jar. It was like a clear jar, and I was like, and I looked at Trevor, my singer, and I was like, "Yep, he just ruined hotel candy for me forever." So
Fast forward, next time you're in a hotel and you use that little bottle of shampoo, and you're like, oh,
no way.
No.
I do it like that. I just squirt it on my face first and just. I don't care anymore.
then you start running. He's a maniac.
Hoogie, honestly, like how much? Can I just bring this? How much feces do you think you and I have consumed on the road eating fast food in our life?
That, or just think of the weird surfaces your ass has touched.
Oh, well,
how many weird places have you like? Come on, I've been touring for 24 years. I wish I had a coffee table book of the places I shit.
Yeah. Well, I never sit down. I never sit down, and most of the time, like I go into the girls' room before the club.
Of course, you always go to the girls' room.
Exactly. Always the girls' restroom.
Always the girls' restroom.
But I'm saying you and I eat like Taco Bell, Whataburger, In-N-Out, whatever. Timmy Hortons. We've consumed people like feces, like they're. That's why
you out for those dinners over in Asia and stuff. You've definitely eaten a dog or something.
Oh yeah. Listen, ostrich meat in Australia.
Kangaroo.
Yep. Listen, I'm just opening it up. You guys are living at home. You guys do your thing. You guys work in a nice office. He and I, we're in the shit. It sucks. Anyway.
Sounds quite literally.
You've ruined Tim Hortons for me, Whataburger, Taco Bell, like
hotel shampoo.
Yeah, exactly. Oh.
You used some of that last week, didn't you? When you were
I
in North
totally
Dakota?
did. Yeah, I was absolutely in a hotel. And you just ruined it for me, Hoogie. Every time I go to a hotel now, I'm going to be like, I got to go to Target. I don't care. I don't care where I am. I don't care if it's $300 a night. I'm going to Target first. Yeah.
I have a whole list on my phone. I could share it with you guys, but literally it's like a book of things that I hate. Yeah, I could scroll through them. And one of them, dude, you guys keep talking. Let me get into this for a second. I'll find it. Pet peeves, Ken Susi. If you want, I can read this off to you.
Oh, of course we want you to do that. As if we wouldn't want.
All right, ready? People who cut in line. You see that in most Asian countries. Not to be racist.
Dude, when they get off a plane there.
Yeah, they're just beelining it in front of you. Men who eat tall ice cream cones. That's weird. Ready for this one? This is a tour one that bums me out. Squirty tipped sports drink bottles. Right? Because what happens? You get like one of the ones with the sport drink at the top. You crack the top, and then you like squeeze it and drink it, and then it makes a kissy noise, like when it gets out of your mouth. And then you're like. And you're sitting in a van or a bus, and you're like, dude, can you not do that? It's like making a kissy noise. And then they'll go, okay, well, like I go, can you just take the top off? And they'll be like, no, I can drink it without like, And I'm like, don't do it, dude. And the next thing you know, they're just blasting it down their throat. Fuck sports drinks, dude. Let's see what else we got. Wait. Couples who wear matching clothes at the gym or in life. That sucks. These are things that I found on the road. People who say cool, they're obviously not, they don't give a shit about you. If I'm like, oh, cool. Like, that sucks. That happens.
Dude, you said that to me like 5 times.
I know.
Like, the last 5 times we've talked.
And have I cool?
Yeah, I'll be on your live stream. Cool. Yeah.
Yep.
You just gave it away.
People who write hope all is well at the end of an email, that means they fucking hope you die. Not a big deal. Any gathering that's considered a social. Have you ever been to a social, like an ice cream social? It's stupid. It's dumb. It's a
that's a big
word.
Dude, that's a big thing in Canada.
Yep.
Like,
well,
do you guys, Hoogie, do you have that in Ontario, like wedding socials, or is that a Manitoba thing?
I mean, I don't know if it's wedding socials, but there's definitely like school event socials, stuff like that.
Okay, no. Here, Ken, I think you wouldn't hate it so much here. So wedding socials here, before you get married, you throw a big piss up party and invite a bunch of people, right?
But it's a party. It's a party,
yes,
not
it's
a social.
It's a big party with music and like normally some sort of food and
in Massachusetts we call that a ripper.
Yeah. So,
Before COVID, they used to.
yeah.
All right. So another one is men who sit like this in a chair. It sucks. This sucks. When you're like, oh, let me think, and you're like, dude, what are you getting blown right now? Like, what's the deal?
That was 100% Travis's pose in our marketing meeting today. Like,
Yeah.
half the call, that's how Travis is sitting.
Yeah. Or another one is
Was it really?
people who do this to their shirts because they don't
No.
fit anymore. I call this the fat guy tug. They just pull out the middle of their boobs like this. They're like, because their shirt doesn't.
You know
fit.
what, Ken? Eat a dick, buddy.
I feel attacked.
Yeah, exactly.
Extra
I'm
medium.
triggered now.
Like half of these apply to me. I'm gonna go on my joint Facebook account with my wife and unfriend you.
You should. I hope I get unfriended by everybody. I don't want any friends at all. Ready for this, Oogie? Drummers that are always like just playing drums on themselves. Like they're in the bus, just like, and you're like, dude,
Yeah.
can you just stop tapping on yourself? You suck. Like, get over it. I hate that. Squeaky markers, like Sharpies. I call them markers. Those suck.
Marcus?
Markers, dude. Anyway, there's a lot. This dude, let me just
Boston Ken just came out.
let me just show you. These are all the things I hate.
A hate list.
That's awesome.
I'm gonna write another one though. It's gonna be things that Ken Susi loves, and then on the top of that list is gonna be eating Milanos in a jacuzzi. That's the thing I love. Anyway,
Like the cookie Milanos.
yeah, yeah, and you can
Okay.
you can bite them and get an ashtray and just flick the crumbs.
Because you're high class.
I thought you meant because you like to have the crumbs in there with you. Little
No.
Milano soup.
You eat the Milano, you get an ashtray, you flick the crumbs into the ashtray. It's high class
Okay.
shit. You guys would
Oh,
know.
I wouldn't know about it. Yeah.
You guys don't
Yeah.
get it.
We don't
Yeah,
have
no,
that
we
unearthed
don't get
jacuzzi money, buddy.
Neither do I. That's the sad part.
Yeah. Or the staying at the Marriott money either. I'm staying at the Holiday Inn Express money.
My band's still touring in a green van after
gonna
21
say-
years. Who gives a shit?
I was going to say, it's either that or the Hampton Inn and Suites. That's where you'll find me.
Oh god.
Like, one of the two.
Yep.
As long as the entrance is not outside to your room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it used to be the $100 a night hotels. Now those hotels are all $160 a night in America. Like, and the nice hotels are $300. But
I luckily have always had a Marriott hookup, so we get like Marriotts for like $40 no matter where we are. It's awesome.
dude, that's killer.
That's why Unearth is the only reason why we're together still, probably.
We're going on tour.
Nice.
I guess we got to call Ken. We need rooms.
Yep. Once I quit, they're gonna be screwed.
Nice.
Plotting.
All right, well, we should probably wrap this up because it's almost 2 hours of us being stupid. So, I'm sure people are more than done with us for tonight. So,
Damn,
thank
that's
you
great.
guys for
Good.
yeah.
Hoogie,
Yeah,
when
for
you hit
coming.
Boston, hit me up, brother. I miss you.
I got 3 more shows, and then I'm back to my lockdown
All right. Well, when you're
Compound
on
in
lockdown,
Canada.
hit me up. Send me nudes.
I will.
All right.
Now
Yeah.
we're on the Instagram. I'll DM you.
Oh, hit that up.
Will do.
And Derek, I'll continue to call you for artist relations at Rev. Not
Yes,
Travis.
sounds good.
I
All
only
right,
go to
Kate.
I only go to the top.
You go
Sorry.
straight to the top.
That's
But
fine.
You don't
Totally understand
You
it.
don't actually. I was gonna say you don't actually go to the top because you don't go to Dan. You're like, wait. There's another level. Like I'm never gonna hear from Susie again now that I said that Dan's
Yo.
the president. So go straight to the top.
Oh, get me his digits.
$4,000
Yeah, exactly. I just got a question that I think only Dan can help me with. Could you help me? Could you set me
Dan's
up?
number?
Set me
Yeah.
up with
Yeah.
this Dan's number.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us tonight, for joining us, and
Thanks, everybody.
for all of our
do it
ridiculousness.
again.
And yeah, we will. Okay, guys. We'll
Bye,
see you
guys.
later.
Take care.
Yeah.